So, Tomahawk missiles, do you think Trump's going to say yes or no?
It's hard to predict Donald Trump on just about anything. I'll just say that from a military and diplomatic point of view, I think it makes sense, and we'll see where things shake out.
So, Tomahawk missiles, obviously they are in the news a lot at the moment, but they're not a new weapon in terms of battlefield weaponry in the Ukraine war. They're decades old. So why is something which isn't perhaps a cutting-edge weapon causing such a stir at the moment?
Well, look, the Tomahawk is the longest range cruise missile in the United States arsenal. And it is the combination of the range and the significant payload that makes it pretty useful. The fact that it has been around for a while is also a reflection of its reliability. And the fact it's the thing to which American presidents tend to reach for first when they want to reach out and touch someone. And so it's really that combination of characteristics that make it a useful standby, reliable tool.
And if Ukraine were to receive these, what do you expect them to do with them?
Well, first of all, it's not just the sort of thing that you can strap on to a MiG and then fire and forget. This is the sort of thing that requires a lot of support. The Tomahawk weapon system to provide targeting, to tell it where to go, to tell it where to fly a very long distance to make sure that it gets where you want it to go. So it's going to require a lot of launch systems, and it's going to require some targeting to support it. So in terms of what they may target, look, there's like 2,000 targets that would be within the range of a 1,500 nautical mile missile like this. And so it's going to be able to hold at risk and hopefully affect the Russian behavior and affect their operations by pushing them back. If you can target a bomber base, then they're going to not be able to operate with impunity within the range of such things. And so, it was Operation Spider's Web, but those drones had to be put into Russia to be able to hold those things at risk without penetrating through a covert operation. That can have some significant effects.
And you sort of alluded there that if Ukraine was to be given these missiles, there might have to be quite a heavy U.S. involvement in terms of Ukraine using them. Is that something that you expect?
I think it's in the nature of the weapon system. How exactly that would come about, from someplace in Europe or something like that, that would be to be determined. But it is the sort of thing that would require some kind of support, yes.
And what about the political aspect of this? They seem to be being used as a bit of a negotiation tool by Trump and, to a lesser extent, Zelensky at the moment.
I think that's right. I wonder, frankly, if this is being put out there, just the threat of it, to encourage Putin to come to the diplomatic table. I am skeptical, however, that is going to be the case. I think there's one language that Putin and the Russians understand, and that is the language of force. And so just merely teasing this threat, I think is perhaps not going to be enough. It's going to have to not just tell, but show with things spontaneously combusting into Russia, military targets, legitimate military targets, to be able to communicate that message.
Do you think that the sort of negotiation process that we're seeing at the moment, do you think that might still happen in stages? Ukraine doesn't currently have the launch platforms for these missiles. So do you think that maybe we'll see Tomahawks being sent into Ukraine as a political message, even if they can't actually be used? Or do you think the first thing that we'll know about it is them slamming into Russian oil refineries?
I hope it's the latter. Putting them into Ukraine and just creating them as targets probably does not make sense. And so if you're going to do it, you go all in and do it. But just sending them in as a decoy or as a target, that probably doesn't make sense.
And what about the numbers that the US might send? There were some reports this morning, some people speculating that perhaps Russia could only spare 20 to 50. Do you have any thoughts on that? And if that was the case, would that be a significant number, and a significant enough number to actually make any difference on the battlefield?
That the United States could only spare 20 or 50, you mean? Yeah. So that's probably not a bad guess. I'll say that that is the sort of number that the U.S. frequently expends in an afternoon. 60 Tomahawks were sent into Syria in the first Trump administration. I think it was over 24 sent into Iran during Operation Midnight Hammer. I guess there's a couple of worries there. One, this is a strategic non-nuclear asset. And so there's not just vast quantities of them. The United States has not been acquiring them in large numbers. It's something between the order of 33, I think 67 a year that have been procured in recent years. So they are scarce assets. That's absolutely the case. But used well and used to target high value Russian assets, aircraft, air bases, what have you, they could have an outsized effect. And so, yes, there's long-range Ukrainian drones that have been going deep into Moscow, but they don't have the payload capacity. Tomahawks have a pretty big warhead and can cause a lot of damage. So a little bit can go a long way if you use them, but they're not going to end the war by itself, but it could really impose very significant costs on Russian material and also, of course, their operational flexibility.
And it's about a 400 kilogram warhead, is that correct?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about 4 to 5 times stronger than a drone, yeah?
Depends on the drone, of course. But yeah, something like 1,000 pounds.
And you said there that in previous instances when America has launched these, like in Syria and Iraq, they were in salvos of around 60 missiles, I think you said. Is that how you would expect them to be used in Ukraine? Like if 20 to 50 were given, would they be all released at once or just individually?
Not necessarily. There's no necessity of that. It depends on whether you want the pain to be acute or prolonged. And that's the sort of thing that a lot of other factors are going to enter into.
And what about Russian air defenses? Because they don't seem to be having much success against drones, although they do presumably shoot down quite a lot of the, sometimes hundreds of drones that Ukrainian launches every night. But how do you expect Russian air defenses to fare against Tomahawk missiles?
Well, look, Tomahawks fly slowly, and they're not exactly stealthy. They've been around for a while, as you noted earlier. But their utility against air defenses is that they can fly low and slow, and they can fly very circuitous routes to go around air defenses and to hug the terrain, perhaps. And so the ability to penetrate deep is going to depend a lot about the intelligence and the knowledge of where the Russian air defenses are, and the ability to map a way around them.
And how do Tomahawk missiles navigate?
Look, they've got a variety of ways to do that. Mapping the Earth, perhaps talking to satellites. There's a variety of ways to do that.
And we're still waiting on a final decision from Donald Trump. But what do you think are the arguments, from a political sense, the arguments for and against Donald Trump sending them to Ukraine?
Yeah, I think the arguments against. I don't really buy this is a provocation. Look, we've heard that story so many times that if we send a HIMARS or a ATACMS, that will cause Putin to explode. Look, the political argument for really is that there has to change the game. We have to really convince Putin with enough pain that it doesn't make sense to keep doing what he's doing. Putin has abused the patience of President Trump at every turn. Every deadline, every opportunity for peace has been blown by. And so something else qualitatively different needs to happen. And so, frankly, I think the political argument is, no, we're serious about this. And we're tired of being embarrassed and our patience abused. And so I think if President Trump gets that into his mind, then perhaps there could be a different outcome here. I'll just say I've got an article coming out on this, I think tonight or tomorrow, with my colleague Seth Jones, arguing that Tomahawk should indeed be transferred to Ukraine for these reasons.
What is your gut instinct about the way that this is going to go? Do you think Trump's going to say yes or no?
It's hard to predict Donald Trump on just about anything. I'll just say that from a military and diplomatic point of view, I think it makes sense, and we'll see where things shake out.
As we get closer to winter here in Kyiv, Russia's attacks are only escalating. So if you'd like to help the Kyiv Independent to carry on reporting from on the ground here in Kyiv and across Ukraine, please do consider signing up and becoming a member. And you can do that at kyivindependent.com/membership.